In this lecture, you will learn about PHP sections and cookies. Sections and cookies are very important aspect of web programming. This is primarily because the HTTP protocol is stateless. That means it doesn't remember what you are doing by default. So the way for us to actually know who is using our web application, who is currently on our web application, is through the use of sessions and cookies. Let's start with session. A session basically is a way for you to persist data or value inside of PHP super global variables so that you can actually access them on other pages in your website. Once you create a section variable, it will be available to you to use throughout your web application. To create a section in PHP, we use the session underscore start. So this is a function that tells PHP to actually start a session. So once we start a session, we can then use the PHP section super global variables to actually store information inside of the section. So for instance, we want to get the section username. Usually you will be getting this information from the database. When the user is logging into your system, you grab the username from the database and then persist it inside of a session variable so that in other pages in your website, you can actually reference this session variable. Alright, so very easy to create a section variable in PHP. You call the PHP super global sessions and then pass it a key which you're going to use to identify the session variable. In this case, it is username, and then pass it a value. If you're going to access it anywhere, you can just maybe inside of our template here, we could say PHP and then we just say echo section username. Alright, so if we do a refresh on the browser, we get section username equals to John. Very easy. So inside of our script, we can then do something based on this section variable. For instance, you can lock access to certain pages if this section variable is not set. So we're going to just do a basic check here. Come over to index and say section logged in, and then we are going to set this to be equal to true. Okay, so this should be logged in. Now we can come over to the template, and then here we are just going to check. We're going to say if section logged in. So if section logged in, what do we want to do? We want to echo a message. You are logged in as, and then we echo section logged in. So we can actually use a shorthand here, section logged in. Otherwise, if section logged in is not true, so remember here we set it to a boolean true. Okay, so if it is not true, what do we want to do? We want to have an X statement here. So we're going to say PHP s, then close that, and then we are going to end if PHP end if. Okay, so here we are just going to say in a paragraph, you are not authorized to view this page. Okay, so let's do a refresh on the browser. Okay, so you are logged in as 1. This is because we actually set that value to a boolean true or false. Okay, so let's come here and set it to a name. Let's say Terry. Then let's do a refresh again on the browser. Okay, now you are logged in as Terry. So if that session is not set, so for example, we just comment at this. So now we don't have any session. Save this, and then let's do a refresh on the browser. Okay, so we get this on line 9. You are not authorized to view this page. All right, so let's go back here and then start the session so that PHP will know to check sessions. And then do a refresh, we get you are logged in as Terry. Okay, so take note of something here. I've already commented at this. Okay, section logged in equals to Terry. This is where we defined it. Here inside of our template, we are just referencing it and then getting the value. But on the web page, it still tells me you are logged in as Terry. Okay, so let's open a new web page and then say learning php.dev. See, you are logged in as Terry. All right, so what happens if we close the browser and then I open Chrome again? Okay, so this time let's say learn php.dev. Now we get undefined index logged in on line 9. You are not authorized to view this page. Okay, so this is actually easy to fix. What we need to do is actually say if this is set, okay, Let's take it out and say if is set, only then we're going to do this. If we do a refresh, this should actually take care of the problem. Okay, so you see you are not authorized to view this page. Okay, so we come back here again to index and then uncomment this. Let's refresh the page and see if we actually get it to work. All right, so you are logged in as Terry. So you can actually see that the section remains for the duration of the time when the user is actually on the web page. So only when you close the browser and open it again, then the sections are actually destroyed. So we can actually unset a specific session variable in PHP using the unset function. So I'm going to comment out this again. And then here I'm just going to say unset section logged in, then put a semicolon there. All right, so let's do a refresh first and see. See, now you see you are not authorized to view this page because we actually unset that specific section variable. So if we add another section variable here, let's call this logged out, and then, okay, say logged out. Okay, so we are just going to echo this when the user is not logged in. So we're going to come here, you are not authorized to view this page. And then here we are going to say PHP, can use the shorthand syntax. Okay, so let's do a refresh on the browser. Here we have logged out. Okay, so remember inside of our index, we are actually unsetting logged in. And then here we have logged out. So unset is going to unset the specific section variable that you are passing to it as an argument. So if we want to unset all of the section variable, we can use a PHP function. Let's comment this out and just say section unset. Okay, let's give this a try. Then do a refresh. Right now you see undefined index logged out. This is because the section is no longer available. We have used section unset to unset all of the section variables. If we want to actually remove, we can actually destroy the section variables without unsetting them. So what we are doing here when we say unset is actually a way of undoing what you did when you actually define the variable. So here we are defining the section variable, section logout. If we say section unset, we are removing this from the global scope. We are saying we don't want this inside of the global scope. Unset it, remove it. Another alternative that we could use is to say section destroy. Okay, so let me uncomment out this and then bring this back in. Right here, we're just going to say section destroy. All right, so first thing first, we're going to refresh this. All right, so what we're now going to do is actually just uncomment out this. Right, remember previously when we did uncomment out logged in, without closing the browser, we were still able to access it. It was still available here. So right now we are calling section destroy. Let's see what happens. Right now you're saying you are not authorized to view this page. All right, so now let's talk about cookies. Cookies are entirely different from sections. When we are creating sections, these are actually stored in the server side, but cookies are stored in the browser. This makes it totally different from sections. So essentially what we do is store a small piece of data in the browser of the user. This will then enable us to actually track the user or know if they are returning users. So it's very easy to create cookies in PHP. There's a function called set cookies. And then here we can say set cookies. It's a PHP function. And then this function will take some parameters. First, we want to give it the cookie name. So let's call this track underscore user. And the next is going to be the value. Okay, so let's call this the name of the user that we are tracking. I'm just going to pass in my name here. And then the third argument will be how long do we want to actually store this cookie in the browser of the user. So we're going to use time plus, and then we can then pass the number of days that we want to actually store the cookie in the browser. So let's say 1 day is 86400. We want to multiply that by 2. So that means we want to store this cookie for just 2 days. And then we can also specify that this cookie should be available throughout our website using a slash. Otherwise, we can specify a specific section of our website where this cookie should be available. Passing it slash will actually make it available on all the web pages on our website. Okay, so we have a cookie here set to expire in 2 days. And then the name of the cookie is track_user. So what we can now do is to actually check if cookies track user is set. So let's come to index. Then here I'm going to replace it with track user. And then we are going to check this to the cookie super global variables. Otherwise, we are just going to say here we are not tracking any user. You are not being tracked. Okay, so let's do a refresh on the browser. It says you are logged in as Terry O, so I probably should change that message to user being tracked. All right, so let's do a refresh on the browser. Say user being tracked, Terry O. Because cookies are stored on the browser of the user, we can actually find out information about cookies. So let's right click and then inspect element. Let's come under network and then click on all. Let's do a reload. All right, so to get that page, then click on the link and then come under cookies. All right, so you can see here tracked_user and then the value is Terry plus O. Tracked_user, Terry plus O, expiring 2.0 days. Okay, so to change the value of this cookie, very easy. Same way that we created the cookie, we can just come here and say track user equals Terry, sign away. And then I want to make this expire in 3 days. Save this, then come over to the browser, do a refresh, come to the page. And right now you can see 3.0 days and then the value is Terry or Sayaway. As long as you are actually referencing the name that you use, whatever value you set here will actually be updated to be the new value for the cookie. So if we want to destroy the cookie that we've set, so mind you, if I just uncommented this now, and then we come to the browser and do a refresh, okay, tracked, you can still see that the value is here. For as long as the number of days that we specified is still valid, this is still going to be here. We are still going to be able to use the cookie, as you can see here. But if we no longer want to use this cookie, we want to unset it. So what we need to do is actually refer to the name of the cookie. So we're going to use the same function, set cookies. And then we are going to refer to this cookie that we want to unset, track user. We are going to set the value to be equal to null or empty string. And then we are going to set the time to a time in the past. So we're going to say -1. Okay, so this means we are setting the time to 1 day in the past, meaning that the cookie has actually expired. So let's do a reload. Come here, cookies deleted. Do a reload again here, you are not being tracked. You can see now that all the data of the cookie is now being gone. Cookie tracked user has now been deleted.